everyone could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could take a second and make sure that their cell phones are silenced so we won't be interrupted. Nobody right now, I don't think it's right here.
If you give me the password, I can do it. Who's got control of the screen?
Well, we're getting set up technology-wise. I just want to welcome Haley Brenner as our student representative for the year to sit on the board.
Thank you.
Are we set?
Yeah, I think we're safety hearing.
Okay. We'll get the meeting started with safety hearing from David Martin.
Good evening.
Hi, David.
Pursuant to the Commissioners of Education's requirement, I'm asking you tonight to accept the revised district safety plan and that it be placed and available in the office of the superintendent for public comment for 30 days. At the end of the 30-day period and having heard no comment or need for revision, that it be accepted as printed at the October 2017 Board of Education meeting and be distributed as required to appropriate agencies and personnel. A copy of which will be placed on the district's official website, lacking confidential personal information. And I have a copy of it tonight to turn over to Mrs. Tomasulo. You don't need to make any kind of motion on it. It just needs to sit on the table for 30 days.
David, I have a question before you go. Are there any significant changes from last year?
The only thing that's changed in it really is the names of the players. So Tom Murphy's gone, so Laura had to be inserted. And I actually eliminated the CRT names only because I know they change every year.
What's the CRT?
Critical response team.
Okay.
All right?
Do you guys have questions for David before he? Okay.
Just like a good sermon, short and sweet.
Thanks, David.
There you go.
All right. Item B, the garden build.
Hi. How are you? We have lots of people here involved with us, so we're going to tell you a little background about it in case you don't know. So Rose is going to help fill you in a little bit. But if you don't know, there has been a community garden at the GLP, and it was built with volunteers, donations, lots of help from the Eden Community Foundation, the O'Briens. There's a long list of that, but the community garden project, their goal was that there would be a community garden at each of the schools. And at that point in time, we were very fortunate to find out about an opportunity through Mrs. Grunder. When the Hammered Lowe's, they have something called a Heroes Grant, and I cannot say enough about that store and the people who they send to help. So I know two of them are here. So Suzanne Sully, and I always mess up your last name, I'm so sorry, and Stephen Tarnish, who also has children that go to school in Eden. They really helped lead this project with us, organize it, and it was just absolutely amazing. Right now, we currently have an Eden Elementary Garden Club. And so if I can kind of show you the shift of how this worked out, because although GLP received the grant from the Lowe's store, we right now have the Garden Club at Eden Elementary run by Karen Inman and Carrie Blaze. They would have to walk all the way up to GLP. That was just the place they found for the garden and do all of their garden club work there. So we were fortunate through adding the classroom to have some lessons out there, K through 6, but ultimately most of the work is done by the Eden Elementary Garden Club. So both schools really benefited from this grant because we've now built a community garden at Eden Elementary. So there is currently an elementary community garden, and the one at the GLP will now be the GLP community garden. And in the future minutes, you'll see that there are going to also be advisors at GLP for the garden club at GLP. I believe most of them, if not two of them, are here. So Sarah Fiorella and Katie Mathis, who so first grade teachers are sharing one of the positions, and Ann Reichel in second grade is doing the other position as an advisor. So they're going to get up and running a garden club at GLP, very similar to Eden Elementary.
And the Eden Elementary just finished their sign-ups for their garden club. They have 31 students signed up. They have their first meeting tomorrow. They'll be walking over and doing the harvest from the current garden. And then they use those fruits and vegetables to make recipes, and they share those. And then they'll do final cleanup on the garden. And everyone is very excited that we will have the garden at the elementary school. Now they won't have to walk, and they can start their planting and soil work and composting right on the spot.
And I know the GLP's goal is not only to just have a garden club, but to use it instructionally. They have a seed unit in kindergarten, they have life cycle units, so they're trying to really incorporate it in their regular instruction. So to tell you a little bit, a synopsis of the build that we did on September 9th. So thanks to Lowe's, we were able to share our project idea with them, come up with the list of all the items we needed, and when you see some of the pictures, you're going to see it included everything from the wood, the lining, the shed, and they sent at least, I want to say at least 15 volunteers who spent the entire Saturday morning with us, and they were incredible. To see their red shirts come, I don't know what we were done because I certainly wasn't going to build the shed.
The shed is together, thanks to them.
Yeah, it would have never gone up if we didn't have them. So they were truly amazing. Their knowledge is incredible. I felt like they would have just done anything to make this project happen. Our Ed in the Classroom grant that we got from Senator Gallivan also pitched in a little bit for some of the things that we couldn't cover in the grant. And we're going to be updating some of our tools and probably getting some of the plants through there when we start doing some of the planting. But it was really an outstanding day. I can tell you that Sarah Fiorello, Katie Mathis, and Ann Reichel did a lot of the background work to get ready for the build. They got donations from the community to feed the volunteers. It really went off without a hitch because we really had some really great people doing some really great work. So we have a really short slideshow for you, and I'm going to hope no advertisements come on. There, including Marlene Brunner and Ellen Kindly. We had teachers from GLP, Eden Elementary, and the high school show up. It was really exciting. We had a lot of our students show up, and they worked really, really hard. And like I said, those red shirts are all those volunteers who came out and spent a Saturday with us. So we really want to thank them. I'm so glad they came here today, and we do have some thank you cards from our students for you. And if you could just stand up so that they could see you, it would be great.
I like the way you handle the shovel from CrossFit there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The CrossFit part. So if I could just add to that is that we also learned just a few days ago that we received another grant from Senator Gallivan, which was unsolicited and quite a surprise. And so we're going to look to getting some sheds in each of the buildings with some tables and benches that'll fold up in the winter so that we can do classes outside and just really spruce it up. So we're pretty excited about that. And birdhouses, too. Thank you, Lauren and Kelly.
Are we ready? For item C, fund balance and reserves.
Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Nicole Ruff from Drescher and Malecki to just kind of briefly go over our financial statement audit with the Board of Education. And then when she is done, I will talk about the reserves that we're planning on funding later in the board packet.
Hi, my name is Nicole Ruff. I'm from Drescher and Malecki, and we do the external audit of the financial statements. So I'm here to present the results from June 30th of 2017. I did pass around a draft of the financial statements and a presentation for you all. As the external auditors, our responsibility is to make sure that these financial statements are not materially misstated. And these are drafts, so we don't expect much to change, but we do anticipate that we are going to issue an unmodified opinion, and that unmodified opinion is the highest opinion that you can receive. Slide 1 is just the products of our audit. So there are a couple different letters and 2 different reports that you will receive after the statements are issued. That is the basic financial statements, which you have the draft in front of you. We will issue a financial statement on your extra classroom activities. That also will have an unmodified opinion on the extra classroom activities. There will be a management letter, and then there will be an auditor communication letter. That auditor communication letter has required communications, all the required communications we have discussed previously with the audit committee. The financial statements, if you're looking at the opinion, does have something a little bit different than it has in previous years, and that's a emphasis of a matter paragraph. That's just to say that there's a restatement in your financial statements. It's not a bad thing. It's not that something was misclassified in previous years. It's that there's a new governmental accounting standard pronouncement that requires you to restate your beginning fund balance for GASB 75, and that's your other post-employment benefits. So we talked through that with the audit committee. It just increased the liability of the district to the full liability, whereas in the past it was being amortized over 30 years. Page 2 of the slides, just to briefly go over some activity of the general fund. In the current year, the district used $661,000 of fund balance in the general fund. One of the major contributing factors to that is the voters' approval of the transfer of the capital reserve in the amount of $2 million to the capital projects fund to be used for the capital project. Total fund balance decreased to $10.4 million. Of that $10.4 million, $8.1 million of that is restricted. So general municipal law, education law restricts what the district can use that money for. Of that $10 million, only $2.2 million is considered unrestricted and available to use for the district. If you switch over to page 4 of the slide, you'll see that that unrestricted amount is actually made up of 2 other amounts. What's being assigned and what's unassigned. Your assigned fund balance, consisting of $1.1 million, is encumbrances, commitments that the district has already made that it's going to be using in 17-18, and also $518,000 of unassigned fund balance that was used to balance the 17-18 budget. That leaves the district with $1.1 million unassigned fund balance, and that $1.1 million is the amount that's subject to real property tax law. Districts can't keep more than 4% of their subsequent year's budget in that unassigned amount. So unassigned amount at the end of the year, if you look at page 5, is 3.8%. This amount does include, I think you'll be going over the transition of certain fund balance amounts to move to certain reserves.
Yes.
These financial statements in this presentation reflects those amounts that they would be approved. So if anything were to change, those amounts would change in the financial statements. Page 6, it's worth noting that there's different levels of findings that a district may have. There's material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, and other findings. There's no material weaknesses in the district. There is one significant deficiency, and that's required to go into the financial statement, so it is in the back. And that's the same finding that there has been the previous years. It's the school lunch fund, which is presented on page 6. So we're just noting the use of fund balance within the school lunch fund since 2011. Other than that, we had no findings in internal controls that we would consider significant or material, which is praised to the school district. So the other comments that we have are really just housekeeping items and recommendations that we have to the district. The last slide is just our information. So if the board ever has a question during the year or while working in the audit, if they want us to look at something in particular, that is a partner. I'm the manager, so you can feel free to contact us. Or if you're reading through these draft statements and you have any questions, feel free to just send us an email or give us a call. The anticipation is that the board isn't going to approve the statements until the next meeting, so that if there is changes, that gives us time to make changes. But it will be submitted by October 15th, which is the deadline that it has to be received. Does anyone have any questions?
I like when you come with good news, though. Good? Everybody's good?
We all set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I'd like to go over my portion of it so that you are to understand what you will be asked to vote on later. So, due to my predecessor and my current staff and the administrators of this district being fiscally constrained, showing fiscal constraint, we have money available for our cash flow to put back into reserves. So my recommendation to this board is I would like to increase the unemployment insurance reserve by $100,000, the retirement contribution, which is for your employee retirement system payments, to $576,238. The capital reserve, since we used $2 million of it, I would like to put $400,000 back into there. And then capital reserve for vehicles and buses, I have increased that from last year up to $600,000 to accommodate the purchase of a new vehicle and to start putting money ahead before we're ready to purchase a vehicle, in case we would run into a financial hitch in 1 year because of state aid or economic conditions beyond our control, so that the bus replacement system could keep going as planned for the district. And then the repair reserve, in the past 2 years, there was approximately $60,000 utilized, and I'd like to refund that at this point because it was not done with a public hearing, so that we have to pay it back while we have the funds. I think it's prudent to do it this year so that we don't have to worry if something negative were to happen with our financial condition in the future. So that's what you will be asked to vote on later in this agenda.
Is it written down someplace for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
It's actually
Item E, capital project update, general campus, Young and Wright.
Do you guys want a table? You'll stand? Okay. So just to refresh everyone's memory, we have Mike McCarthy here from Young and Wright. Wave, Mike. There's Mike. Nick, we have from campus, and Madeline, we also have from campus. New batteries, Mike? Excellent. I know.
So we wanted to take the opportunity tonight to come in and just give the board an update of what we've done throughout the summer. It's been a very busy summer on the district campus, and also kind of give you guys a look ahead of what we have in store in the upcoming months and ultimately next summer, so that you guys kind of have an update of where we are, where we're going, and where we've been. So tonight the agenda is going to go over a few things. We broke this project into 3 phases, as you may remember from our last update. Phase 1 is completely done. That was work at the bus garage. Phase 2, we are just about substantially complete. We're just working on final punch list items that should be basically closed out here in the next few months. And then ultimately, Phase 3, which was the larger of the whole project, has basically got kicked off the 1st of May. We'll also get into the schedule and then certainly any questions and comments that you guys may have. So with that, we'll turn it to Mike for Phase 2 update.
All right, so we just wanted to hit on some of the bigger points from Phase 2, show some pictures, some before and afters, and kind of just run through some of that. So the major scope for Phase 2 was masonry restoration at the high school and elementary school, gymnasium upgrades at the elementary school, loading dock at elementary school, locker replacement at the high school, and hazardous material abatement at all of the schools. The first one and one of the largest portions of the masonry restoration was by the pool at the high school. You can see the top left picture has the upper wall. There's some patches in there. There's been some constant leaks. If you walk down that hallway, you'll notice those ceiling tiles have pretty much deteriorated. And the bottom picture is that wall all replaced. Next image is the elementary school gym. That gym pretty much got a full upgrade. It replaced 4 of the backboards on the side courts. It received a restoration on the floor, so that's the same gym floor, it's just new paint and sanded down. It also got wall pads as well as a paint update. There is too, as kind of part of Phase 3 and Phase 2, there is new storage room for that building. It took the old showers out of the locker room and converted it into a big storage room, which frees some space up for some other items. There is bleachers that go along with this that will be stored in those storage rooms. They're tip and roll bleachers is what they're called, so you can kind of move it in and out as needed. The next item is the loading dock at the elementary school. Obviously the top left picture looks much worse, but that's because it's winter. And the bottom right is the new ones, new bumpers, new railings. It's a bit bigger, which will help unload and load things, and the stairs are in much better condition now. They were kind of falling apart before. This picture is the high school team locker rooms. The top left shows the old lockers. The bottom right is the new team lockers. Those are mainly for football, lacrosse. There's a few other sports that I believe are using them. It holds shoulder pads, helmets, and can fit a lot more stuff into them, as well as a couple lockable areas. And we went with the school colors in there, which matches nicely with the existing finishes. And now the kids can use it. There are some new benches in there which are handicap accessible as well. Phase 3, we just want to hit on, again, some of the bigger scope items that have been worked on this summer. Some of the main rooms are the music suite at the high school. Top left picture, it's the old one. Bottom right, there's new paint, new floor finish. There's additional storage cabinets for music and instruments. So you can't see everything here, but the kind of file-looking things on the right, that stores their music papers, files, which is kind of like a bank system, and it holds a ton of things for them. We've also opened up some of the practice rooms so they can kind of re-energize some of those rooms that were used for storage before and now used for students.
So the next thing is the turf field in the athletic complex. This picture was actually taken about 3 weeks ago. This was from a person, actually an electrician, in a 110-foot tall man lift. You can see a little green as they were putting the light fixtures together. And you can still see the workers out there on the field working, running around like little ants putting the turf down. The turf field is complete. We actually have been coordinating with Marissa, the athletic director. We've actually are having the first game the 28th. We're shooting for the 29th. So the first game is girls soccer. So the field turned out absolutely awesome, I think. Everything came together. It was a tough summer. Mother Nature was really not on our side with the amount of rain we got, but we certainly got it all put together. The other thing is the track. The track right now is actually blacktops. We're in the cure period right now. We have to wait 28 days after the last physical part of blacktop is put down before the rubber crew will actually come in and put the rubber down. We have the rubber actually scheduled for October 16th, right after the few games that you guys have scheduled. That'll take approximately about 3 weeks, and we should have everything 100% complete and wrapped up the 1st of November. So that come spring sports, everything's ready to rock and roll and go off without a hitch. The next slide is actually the concession building. This is probably a few days old. Every day things change up there. If some of you have gone by and saw, the concession building is in kind of their final finish stage right now. We're going through a lot of the last minute toilets and paint and tile and stuff like that. We have a lot of inspections we have to do to make sure that everything is completed and all the agencies sign off. That certainly will be operational for the grand opening in the spring. So that's pretty much the athletic complex. Obviously you saw those are the brand new LED lights that are new out on the market. They've kind of looked at terrestrial looking, so they're pretty cool. We've had those actually turned on. So the next thing I'll turn over to Madeline to kind of give you an update of what kind of craziness we had this summer and what we accomplished and what we have left to do.
Right, so as you know, this was our first heavy summer renovation for the capital project. As Nick and Mike mentioned, a couple of the areas that you see up in gray there, a couple photos of before and after that we were able to complete for the start of this school year. Some other notable renovations would be at Eden Elementary, which was under massive renovation, and certainly everyone wore a lot of flexible pants throughout the summer there, so that was very good. The CER room renovations were completed out through there, so that was running brand new data wire throughout that building and totally revamping that system. We did also do some light renovations in the cafeteria, some paint and wall finishing in there. We were also able to do the crawl space piping abatement, which is common through both the Eden Elementary building and the GLP building. The junior senior high school got its first summer of renovation, so some notable items over there beyond what we talked about would be the loading dock renovations, as well as abating a large section of ceiling that you see is actually missing in front of the library here today. Bus garage got office renovations throughout this summer, some more aesthetics, but also getting them some HVAC upgrades as well. And we were actually able to get a little ahead of schedule and tackle the abatement of the floors in the new kindergarten suite. Some other work that's in progress right now, Eden Elementary will be kind of finishing out, and this is all items that will slowly start to fall off the list anywhere during fall of 2017 all the way through the end of 2017. We were still in progress with some building main entrance renovations. You'll see that there is a new handicap lift there now that'll be finished up and getting that area access, as well as getting some security upgrades to the new main office. The auditorium is very much under renovation right now and will be finished towards the end of the year, as well as the new district office renovations. Junior senior high school continues at the old district office space for the new fitness center, as well as finishing those CER rooms at both the high school and GLP. Lastly, for some upcoming 2018 work, most of this kind of starts around spring of 2018 and going into our second summer. We will have the service entrance switchover at both Eden Elementary and GLP. That'll be to switch those buildings off of the cogen plant back onto National Grid Power. We'll also have the main office renovations, which will include the nurses suite and some building main entrance renovations, as well as the continuation of the classroom over in GLP, as well as the cafeteria. And the high school will experience its second and last summer of renovation, including some gymnasium renovations, pool upgrades, auditorium, shop and technology, library, and cafeteria.
Do you guys have any comments, questions for us that we can answer?
I got a couple. I really appreciate you guys pulling it together, especially the elementary. If you looked at it the week before,
They got lost on the second floor.
I was curious how it was all going to get done, but thanks for pulling that together. Just a couple of questions, more turf field, that thing. Summer just arrived last week, and I think you noticed, and I see all that new grass seed that's down, and I don't think we're expecting rain for another 10 days. Is that going to be, I don't know what the status of that is. Is that going to get watered, or it's all water truck, so?
Yeah, so actually that's hydro seed, so it's one of the better things than just your traditional grass seed and hay. If you actually look, we actually hydro seed the same thing out in front of Ian Elementary, and that's just
It's
beautifully green.
perfect, perfect.
So to answer your question, yeah, they'll probably start sprinkling a little bit, but with the hydro seed that holds the germination in there and the actual, seed down, so I don't think you'll have an issue. And actually, we held off in seeding because actually the specs call for this is the time of the year to actually seed, so you should get a good germination, up there, so.
So, saw a couple things bouncing around today. Where do we stand with the lights and games coming up here on the 28th through the 14th of October?
So the lights will be on.
Okay.
We are working through some issues with National Grid. They have a lot of arms of that department, obviously, in that company. We were supposed to have the meter socket put in yesterday. They came out and they kind of gave us a little monkey wrench, which we're working through. But if we don't have the lights on permanent power, they'll be on a generator and the games will go on as scheduled.
Okay. And then last, are we getting access to the concession stand area during that time frame or not?
So our hope is to, keep finishing everything up. We want to basically make sure that everything's done right and complete, and, we have the fire marshal and all that come through.
And the insurance company, too.
Absolutely. So you'll see that it's going to be real close. We're actually waiting for light fixtures as we speak. With the recent hurricanes and everything, we're starting to see some material showing up later because FEMA's actually jumping in line with a lot of people and stealing stuff.
Wow.
So we're kind of working through that right now. We do have some delivery dates for light fixtures, which are a couple weeks out still. So we're hoping to have things put together and ready, possibly for maybe towards the tail end of the last game, but ultimately it'll be done for the grand opening.
Okay.
So regarding the concession stand, would you describe that finishing up process as behind schedule? Or, and when we receive that 2-week out schematic about how everything's going and where we are, so this is on schedule. So this was described to us as this is the time that would finish mid-October, as opposed to beginning of September or end of September.
Yep. It was always we always communicated at the beginning of this project that we are going to do our darndest to make sure we can deliver a field in October for you. Obviously, Mother Nature is always a wild card, and actually we were able to deliver on having games in September. The concession building is real close. We've gone up there, but we have to make sure that because it's a building, there's a lot more stringent inspections than the actual field. And also, we need to have sports boosters get in there and make sure that things fit, things turn on. We want to make sure that there's proper time for all that as well before we say, all right, you're open for business. So,
Do you
we're real close.
Do you have an anticipated opening for the elementary school Odd?
December.
No, December, so that's a little closer than, a little earlier than we were
For
thinking.
those, what Madeline didn't say is, I don't know if you poked your head in the elementary audit, but the whole entire auditorium is scaffold.
I can't see anything when I look in there, that's why I just don't know.
So there's a lot of work going on up on the scaffold. That was put into the bid documents. The general contractor actually has that on rental for all the main primes to use, because that was the most economical way for all the work to get done. And that's scheduled to start to be dismantled around, probably the tail end of November, 1st of December.
Okay.
So that's on target, and we always planned on, the December. We worked around that schedule pretty well.
And then the cut over to grid, what are you hoping?
So that's another, every day I've got to know the grid very well, all the different arms of the grid.
And they don't talk to each other?
No, that is the dilemma that we ran into yesterday. Everything, we've had multiple arms of the grid out here, and other arms say you're all good. The transformer's been turned on, But then the meter and test department came out and had another little monkey wrench. So we're working through that. It's all doable. We're shooting now. Actually, we had a really productive summer. We actually got farther ahead than we thought with all the underground. So we spent all the summer actually putting in the whole island at Eden Elementary. The generator is actually supposed to be showing up in 2 weeks from now, which is perfect because our plan is to utilize part of that generator during the cutover. We're on target with the grid. We've had a lot of the documentation back and forth with them for potentially a December Christmas break cutover with a fallback in February.
Okay.
So, and then GLP will actually be cut over next summer from cogen to the grid.
Okay.
Plan.
Okay.
There's too much to try to tackle 2 buildings at the same time, and believe it or not, GLP is actually fed from the new island in Eden Elementary. So we had to get that operational, piggyback and get Eden L on board, and then next summer we'll rip out the transformers and GLP and bring that back on the grid.
Okay.
Sorry to go back to the concession stand, but would your best guess be that it'll be done before or after October 14th? Sorry to give like a specific date, but.
We don't have a specific date right now because a lot realize we've already, actually Mike has been starting to talk to the fire marshal. There's a lot of inspections and a lot of people that we have to actually get involved based on, it's a building. It's a brand new building to the district. So we want to make sure that all agencies are, approval, sign off, fire alarm, all life safety, water, the whole 9 yards. So we're certainly shooting for, I guess the homecoming game.
Yeah.
That's our target. But there's every day is something new. So we weren't expecting a little hiccup with the grid, but that's construction. So
thank you.
Yep.
One thing, looking ahead, being that I'm one of the volunteer swim coaches, what type of pool renovations do they plan on doing? Pool. It said pool renovations for 2018.
Those are HVAC renovations.
Oh, okay.
So it's just.
Maybe you can breathe in there.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
We
Yes.
thought you might want to breathe before anything else.
I'll take a breeze over anything, that's okay.
I honestly don't know how districts do this without a construction management firm, and I had absolutely no idea going into this that the architect would be so hands-on. And so I'm grateful to all of you, including Tammy and David, and Chad, who are just a phone call reach constantly every single day, and the coordination of it is mesmerizing to me. It just is. So I wanted to thank you.
I would briefly mention that that aerial shot that you have there, we tweeted out and we threw that on Facebook, and if we get a lot of action on Facebook or Twitter, it's 500 views. That aerial shot is 2,500 views, coast to coast.
Really?
We've got comments from California about it, so it's really, it's getting Eden terrific press. Clearly, these people all have some ancillary connection to Eden.
Sure.
Son or daughter, aunt or uncle.
It would be nice to track that on a map, wouldn't it?
But it's, the only thing that's ever gotten more views is when the girls volleyball team won the state championship. And so this is, it's a very, very...
Excellent.
Okay.
The field at Eden is one of the most encompassing of the fields that they've done in the area as far as sports and just size-wise in general. For that type of field. I mean, obviously there's some that have, huge sport complexes, but this one has the, large amount of sports in that.
This is
one
the
area.
first one that A-Turf has done with 5 sports on it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful field, and an aerial shot is impressive, to say the least. Can't wait to flip the lights on and have the community come out and see it.
Eden actually has a custom blend maroon. That turf out there is a custom blend of, if you actually get down and look at it, there's actually a few different colors of maroon in there. That's what gives it that nice, vibrant.
We know this because Marissa looked at it from every single angle for at least a month. That's right.
If you pass by Marissa's office, you might get a glimpse of the maroon turf.
That's right. That's right. So just one more thing while everyone's here is that, and David's still here too, is that there had been conversation in the past about taking out that access road from the Jennings Road expansion parking lot. But in retrospect, David, you correct me where I'm wrong, because you and I have not spoken about this. The feeling is that it would be better to grass it and keep it so that you have access to that end zone?
Correct.
Do you want to add to that at all?
Well, it's road. And it seems a shame to tear the entire road out.
Yep.
Put grass in. You can certainly put topsoil over the top of it and grass it in and still mow it and maintain that base. So if something had to go down through there, we could still.
We could get
do that.
there. And we'll have a gate.
And who knows, maybe we'll do another field and another road.
I think it's a really smart
Somebody
idea.
write that down.
It's a really smart idea.
I vote for a pool.
Just a comment on the pool, because I was in there tonight, and I did see that, but one of the things that you will notice about the pool, once we get the new air handler in there, won't have to open the doors anymore, because it's really going to be air conditioned. It'll still be warm, but we won't have that humidity.
That'd be nice.
More than warm
And
right
the
now.
second thing for everybody else is you won't smell the chlorine out in the building. Okay, so those are the two good things that are going to come out of having that space conditioned. And just a comment to help with what's going on with concession. The very last thing that happens with the concession stand is that the fire inspector goes in there and he has to look at all of the systems that are in there. That's the electrical, he has to look at the fire suppression, he has to look at the entire building over, the lighting, everything. And when he is satisfied, then it goes through a process where we, as a district, certify and get a certificate of occupancy to use the building. Until that happens, we can't do anything.
And that's why, hopefully I didn't feel like I was wavering the question. There's a lot of steps that we're working through to try to do exactly that. So we're hopeful in the next few weeks that everything will come together and things will be wrapped up, so.
Other questions? Anybody? All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oh, perfect. Can you get that up tomorrow, Lucinda? Or is that Barb's? What'd you say, Barb? You do, you have a presentation page. Put it on that one.
I have a presentation.
Yeah. It's wherever you see all the other presentations, that's where I would go.
So someone has sent it.
Yeah, she will.
Karen gave you a copy, but I'm projecting it for the audience for today. Once again, my annual report on enrollment. The last few years, I've just given you this one slide. Now we've got a good 5 years of data. The GLP is still down 8 from last year at this time of year. In elementary down 10, and the high school is down 14. And I thought just to explain that this year, I did the little graph on the next page. The blue are according to state ed, what walk across the stage in June. The orange is what is on the first day of our opening day in kindergarten for the last 5 years. So just want to point out that we're still leveling off.
That's a really powerful graph. You know, I don't.
I know. I feel like the doom and gloom lady sometimes.
No. Although we are leveling off.
We are leveling off.
But that's only because this one's coming down. Right.
It's kind of self-explanatory.
So, yeah, no, I would go back to the first page, because I think what's interesting to see is, at the kindergarten level, is that it's gone up. And that's what we want, is families coming in when the kids are little. So I think that's a super positive sign. Does anybody else see anything notable?
It appears so we look at it at an angle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the current graduating class is up to 117, where last year it was at 107. So we have 10 seniors, so that's...
So you might have some seniors from last year that didn't graduate. It also might have been just a bubble in the class.
Do we know if it's new enrollment or if it's...
Combination of both, actually, this year. Usually I don't get that many seniors, and this summer we did get more seniors. The summer, actually, I would say, since I've taken over as enrollment, is usually 30 in, 30 out. We actually had 40 out and 50 in. So, and many of those were up here at the high school.
Good.
Surprisingly. So, yeah, it was a little bit different year.
Thank you. Lucian, you want this to be back on? I'll let you do it. We'd have to plug it in. I think it's on this side, yeah. I can do it. Which one? Your porch. Where's that? Here. Oh, I see. You're going here? Yeah. It's August 20th.
No, September. There you go.
All right, thank you. All right. I was trying to logistics with my husband.
All right. Ready? Item 3, any request to withdraw specific items from the consensus items? Yes, no? Moving on. Item 4, routine action, approval of consensus items, that the following consensus items be approved as listed in the administrative memorandum A through N.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Actually, it goes through Q. Does it need to read A through Q?
Yes.
Do I redo that motion? No?
No.
Y'all got the gist? Okay. All right, this is the time that the board is designated to receive statements from individuals and groups. The board will review all statements and respond appropriately at a future meeting. All persons in attendance are required to sign the attendance sheet and designate the representation status, for example, parent, teacher, bus driver, chamber of commerce, etc. There is a 2-minute time limit.
Pat Krofik. I haven't spoken in a while, so I thought I was due. Originally, I wanted to talk about my issues with course expectations, but that's kind of a high school issue, and I talked to Mr. Cervoni already, so I'm going to change my focus a little to a related pet peeve. One of the issues that I have with course expectations is errors that I find in them, like spelling, punctuation, incorrect words, etc. Unlike other parents, I do read them. And this year, with 3 kids, I have read 28 so far. And I have found over 30 things that I can point out that are wrong. A lot of them are missing commas. Apparently, no one knows how to use those anymore. But they're all minor. But they're coming from a school. And I have an issue with that because along the years, 13 plus now that I've had a child here, there have been errors all the time, every year in something that comes home from the school. One of the things that drives me crazy is buses. It's not B-U-S-S-E-S. That is a word, but it's not the right word when you're talking about school buses. We want our kids to do their best and everything else, and I guess I just would like to expect coming home from school that there's going to be correct language, correct spelling, correct grammar. And I know that nobody's perfect. I don't want to make anybody mad, but it's just something that has always driven me crazy, and I finally decided to say something. Because being educators, you should be using the right words. So that's all I wanted to say. Oh, one other thing, actually, course expectations, we need a single due date. There are way too many different dates. Kids are missing them because one's due this date, one's due that date. We need one date for all of them to be due to make it easier for the kids. That's all. Yes.
Pat, can I just ask you a question? Have you shared this with the principals in question?
Yeah, I talked to Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
I have a whole list for him.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello. Good evening, members of the school board and attendees of this meeting. My name is Adam Markecki, and I am president of the Model UN Club here at the Eden Senior High School. I wanted to take this time to thank you for funding our club this year. For many years, our club has not been able to function to its full potential, but with this most generous opportunity, we are able to do much more than ever before. For those of you who may not know, Model UN is a club that strives to promote peace in our world and give students a learning experience that cannot be attained in the classroom. Students research policies and views of foreign nations on topics varying from the current crisis in North Korea to bringing healthcare to underdeveloped nations. From this, students learn about not only the nations they research, but also how to solve problems, speak in front of large crowds, work with new individuals, and to be respectful and understanding of other cultures, races, and religions. Our club is also a brand new peacekeeping committee that is responsible for promoting peace, positivity, and acceptance in our school and community. There is so much more to this club that I could speak about for hours, but I'll try to keep it short. Our club membership this year is nearly 30 people and still growing. Just yesterday, we had 4 seniors join our club. With our club being funded, we will be able to achieve many things this year. Already on our calendar is a conference at Canisius College on November 2nd and another at the prestige Cornell University, which is also noted by an international organization as one of the top competitions in the globe. We are also in the working stages with former alumni to hold a local conference for all former Model UN members around Christmas time. Also on our agenda is our Box Project fundraiser, where for 24 hours we live and sleep in a cardboard box without food or technology to represent the conditions many across the earth live in, including some of our own U.S. citizens, especially after the recent hurricanes. Not only is this a great fundraiser to make people appreciate what they have, part of the proceeds of the fundraiser will be going towards hurricane relief in the South. This opportunity that you have given us will enable us to achieve more than we can ever dream of, and I truly thank you for that. We hope you decide to keep this club funded for years so that future students can be a part of the wonderful club that is Model UN. Thank you.
So I have a question before you go. Do you have a date for your box night?
We have a plan for the weekend of October 7th and 8th, and we're currently working through the paperwork to be submitted.
So it's going to be about 42 degrees outside.
Yep.
Okay.
It's been worse before.
But not raining?
Nope.
Okay.
It was raining 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good weekend, actually. And will you come back at the end of the year to do a presentation for the board on your adventures?
Yes.
Excellent. I see Mrs. Pace is back, so that's great. Good. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Hall. I have 2 kids in the district, 7th and 10th grade. And I'm also part of the Eden Music and Arts Boosters. And I'll have to admit, this is the first time I've come up without like a script of exactly what I'm going to say, because I really just want to update everyone on what we're doing. One of our goals for the Eden Music and Arts Boosters is to advocate for our students. And we take that seriously, and we understand that it's advocating for the students and the funding within this district, not just for the kids that are participating in music and arts, but all of the students. So what we have done, and I've been talking to Jen Horschel a lot, going back and forth with petitions and letters and things. Last year we had a petition that we put out. We had over 200 people sign the petition, and we had over 100 letters. Those were either hand-delivered or sent or faxed to various locations, the Regents Board, the Governor's Office, Assemblyman DiPietro's office, and also Senator Gallivan's office. So all of that information went to them. So we decided, and we talked about this is an ongoing effort. This has to continue. We can't just say we're done, it's move on. We want to continue this effort. And so what we have done is put together a new petition, new wording, new letters, and we're putting those out at open house events and things throughout the fall that we will have available. So far we have, after 3 open house events, 58 letters returned to us.
How many?
58.
Oh, good.
And 66 signatures on our petition. And I don't know if you want me to read what the wording is on there, or if you would like, I mean, I have copies of the letter. We can love to have it on the website.
I talked to Jen, who did I talk to? Was it you, Jen?
It was, and
Yeah.
Karen forwarded it to me, I just haven't had a chance to.
So we had a parent who came to the open house at the junior senior high school and felt that that would have been a great opportunity. And so my response is we'll get it up on the website, we'll let people know.
Excellent, and not just the letter, also the information about where to send it. Because what we're doing right now is we're collecting, having people put their addresses and signatures. We take the letters and then we get those to the appropriate places. But if they're getting it online and printing it themselves, they might need that information. And I know that's on the opening page, New York State Legislative Directory, and all of the addresses and how to reach the policymakers is there. But making sure that kind of goes with the letter somehow, so that if people print the letter, they can easily find where to get it.
We'll just add a page.
Just add a page?
We'll add a page.
Okay.
So it's super timely that so much effort has been put into this. The New York State superintendents have addressed this from a perspective that they believe that New York State itself has a certain responsibility to fund public education, and that they have not been fulfilling that responsibility in every district. And the push is that every district be at least 50% funded by the state. And so it matches exactly what you're saying. We're somewhere between 38 and 39%, and when you think about what another 11% could do to Eden, it would be absolutely amazing. And so it's a responsibility of the state for public education, and that's the push we're at, which matches what you've been doing. So thank you.
Yeah, really state funding. The message this year is a lot simpler than it was last year. I think it's pretty straightforward. Bulleted points that we have on our letter, is to recommend additional state funding and also funding relief for mandates, unfunded mandates. So that is that. I do have these available if anybody wants letters, wants to take letters, copy the letters, give them to people. Thanks to people that have helped with Mrs. Kindly was at our open house the other night. We've had 3 open houses this week, 1 more tomorrow night at the GLP. But we've had volunteers and people there talking to people and getting those. So I hope that we can work with the sports boosters and the PTA and getting that. I've talked to both of those organizations, but the more people that get it, the better. We've even talked about maybe something in the penny saver.
I don't think we did, but that would be a great idea.
And I don't know. I know PTA is doing a lot more advocacy things.
You have Hamburg's son here today, too.
Excellent. Oh, yes.
Hamburg Sun. No, we got a lot of nice, the robocall went out, and the vast majority, I think the overwhelming majority of responses I received were positive. There was some scuttle on social media, as there always is, but it's the same scuttlers.
But some of it's a misunderstanding.
It is, but people, I'll stop there.
But I gotta say, people coming to open house the other night were
Super
they got the
supportive.
robocall and they were looking for the tuition.
Absolutely.
They wanted to sign it, and they were very positive about it.
I think the people who want to help are looking to help, they just don't know where to go. So I think this is really, like I said, overwhelmingly people want to help and they want to do something. So this
And if anyone, I do have pages of the petition, if anyone wants to take one and return those, I'm kind of just keeping track of who takes which, and then we can put those together.
Ooh, I like that idea. I'm going to take it to soccer with me.
Okay.
Are you just looking for like adult signatures? Because if you want like student signatures,
we
maybe
did
student
students
council
the one
could
year.
help you out with that one.
We absolutely-
What a great idea, Haley.
Because I can take one.
We did students the one year, and just make sure you identify yourself as a student, just so they know, I mean, you have a voice too.
You have one in front of you right now?
This, like the poster.
Yep.
So
if you
paper,
need
I'd
to
like
make
to
copies-
petition. I'm in the petition.
She's talking to petition.
Yes. So if you need to make copies or so, just let the main office know.
And I would ask too, I don't know how hard this is, but I know like, was it at the elementary school, Karen was running out of copies. Like how hard would it be for us to just give her access to a copy machine? I mean, she's doing us a huge favor. Can we just let her run off like 50 copies if she's running out?
Just make her 50 copies. She doesn't have to do the work.
Okay. Because it was just, it was dark, it was late, at that point, the building was closed down. I'm like, but we should make arrangements for.
Oh, because it was during open house.
Yeah.
It was during the evening.
It was literally right as we were all walking out the door, and she's like, I ran out of copies, and I'm
Well,
like, oh.
it's a good thing that
it didn't
people are
even.
running out. 'cause we
Yeah.
know we're
That is a good thing.
But it dawn on me to have something set up for her in advance.
Right,
Like,
and
just
they're
go
all-
to
and
this
they're all-
person.
They're all
Yeah.
password protected. so-
Yeah.
We had Mrs. Ullman ran up the summer
Right.
on Monday, but you
True.
ran out again Tuesday.
Do you need some still today?
I think we have what we need for tomorrow night, but depending on where else we put it, we can let you know for sure.
So when you're at open house tomorrow night, why don't you just get some more copies made?
I won't be there.
You won't be there. Okay, somebody?
We have a table, the Music and Arts Boosters will have
Yeah.
a table at that event, so we'll.
Okay.
it'll be
Is
there.
anybody manning the table?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 volunteers.
Yeah.
So I could drag people up.
Divided it up a
Okay.
little bit, so.
Dave DiPietro is my nephew's godfather, so he'll be getting a few phone calls from me.
That would be great.
He's a great guy.
That's awesome.
No, he's
Yeah,
been in
great.
really good
He's a really good
contact
friend of our
with us.
family,
Yeah.
too. Great guy.
He's been very involved with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi,
I'm
Kathy.
Kathy Jeffers, a music teacher at GLP. I teach music. I teach music not to increase students' SAT scores, although it does do that. I teach music not so that kids will do better in math, although there have been studies showing that participation in music does help math scores. I teach music not to increase reading fluency. There's been some studies showing that there is a connection there also. I teach music not to improve students' eye-hand coordination, although that does work too. I teach music not to improve children's social and emotional well-being, although it helps there also. I teach music not because it's a universal language and brings people together, although it does that too. I teach music not so students will major in music and get jobs in music, although there are some very good jobs in music out there. I teach music because the arts keep us human. They add depth and beauty to our lives. That's why it's important to have music and the arts in our schools. Thank you for continuing to support art, music, and drama in our district.
Thank you.
So if I could just make a statement on there, especially while I have Kathy is in front of us. One of the things that we're seriously hoping and considering to get into the junior, senior high school schedule would be an AP Music Theory for 2018. I know you have, and we think we can finally do it now that we're splitting the middle school from the high school. So that is one really specific goal that we're after. You're welcome.
Haley's sad. She's graduating.
I'm sorry. You could do it as an independent study.
Yeah, there you go.
2 ideas.
We can hook you up somehow.
Anyone else for public comment? Going once, twice. Okay, moving on to new business. Item A, resignation. Number 1, accept the resignation that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of teacher aide Kara Kornhummel be accepted effective September 4th, 2017. The Board of Education and Administration wish to thank Ms. Kornhummel for her 6 years of service to the district.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item 2, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of teacher aide Catherine Sukan be accepted effective August 18th, 2017. The Board of Education and Administration wish to thank Ms. Sukan for her 2 years of service to the district.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item 3, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation for the purpose of retirement of teacher aide Janet Geiser be accepted effective August 14th, 2017. The Board of Education and Administration wish to thank Mrs. Geiser for her 21 years of service to the district.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item 4, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of bus driver Martin Henry be accepted effective August 14th, 2017. The Board of Education and Administration wish to thank Mr. Henry for his service to the district.
Second.
Discussion or questions?
I asked him why, and he said he has to be watering his flowers at that time of the morning. They won't wait.
So funny.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Moving on, B, appointments. All appointments will not be effective, and service to the district pursuant thereto shall not begin until there has been compliance with statutory and regulatory provisions for fingerprinting, certification, and clearance for employment. Here are the recommended motions. Item 1, appoint a part-time art teacher that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Rachel Braun, who is permanently certified in art, be appointed as a part-time art teacher, 0.7 FTE, effective September 7th, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. Salary is based upon ETA Contract Masters Step 6. Increase of 0.14 from June 2017.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Is Rachel here? We've been thrilled to have her. She's happy to be part-time, and we're thrilled to have her here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Yes. Number 2, appoint bus drivers that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Judith Peleschi, be appointed, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, be appointed on probation as a bus driver effective September 5th, 2017 and ending March 4th, 2018. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 9, step 1.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Item 3, appoint bus driver that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Noel Schmidt, be appointed on probation as a bus driver effective September 5th, 2017 and ending March 4th, 2018. Salary is based upon CSE contract level 9, step 1.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Moving on to item C, approve Pell placement that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Laura Cole shall remain on the preferred eligible list in the tenure area of LOTE for a period of 7 years, computed from September 29, 2017, the effective date of the reduction.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Can we just note that we pulled B4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Francis McCabe is not interested in being appointed at this time.
Okay. Item D, approve creation of part-time clerk typist position, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, a part-time clerk typist position be created to comply with civil service regulations.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Item E, approve creation of deputy treasurer position, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, a deputy treasurer position be created.
Second.
Discussion or questions?
I'd just ask Laura to talk about it for a quick second. Here, you need a mic. Oh, you have one.
I have one, thanks. What we're looking to do is to create a longevity plan for the district. We lost on June 30th our accounts payable clerk to retirement, and we've been managing to work through it using a BOCES COSER. But what I'd like to do, instead of just hiring a new accounts payable person, is to hire an assistant treasurer who would learn from our current treasurer and hopefully would become, in the future, when our treasurer retires, the next treasurer of the district, which would promote stability and longevity into the business office rather than just hiring a short-term person.
Any questions or comments?
So only that I would add is that this position would be not a collective bargaining position. So when Jendi Souley was here as a senior accounts payable clerk, that was part of CSEA. This itself would be part of the confidential because it would also be a training situation for payroll.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Approve rescinding of resignation. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of Philip Archibald be rescinded effective August 30th, 2017. Mr. Archibald will return at a .67 FTE science teacher effective October 6th, 2017, increase of .17 from June reduction.
Second.
Comments?
Only that the increase of a .17 is really great news, because we had so many kids in chemistry, we had to split the section. So 38, 35, I don't know, Haley might know, but it was pretty big. Have you heard it? Have you seen it? There were not enough chairs in the room. You know. What do you know? It was your class. Yeah, so that's a good thing.
All the students are excited about having him back.
I understand, yes. He's
awesome.
excited to come back.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item G, approve change in step for counselor, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, school counselor Shannon Hennigan be changed to Masters plus 12, step 4, effective September 8, 2017.
Second.
Comments? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item H, approve accessing of buses, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the following buses be accessed and disposed of as the district deems appropriate.
Just read bus 209.
Bus number 209, a 2004 International, bus 215, 2003 International, bus 216, 2004 International, bus 217, 2004 International.
Second.
Questions?
Just out of curiosity, what do they do with old buses?
Well, what
Are
we've
we-
done is our head bus driver, Mrs. Banco, had negotiated, 3 of them were traded in on the purchase of the new buses. One of those was donated back to the Eden Fire Department to host a training session for bus removal, and the other one will be disposed of at a future date in what we deem the most cost-effective manner.
Did good? Mary's shaking her head. You did good.
I didn't know if there was like a bus graveyard or something.
A bus graveyard,
No,
yeah.
believe it or
sometimes-
not.
Technically
so
called
big.
Auctions International, that's where we would put them.
Believe it or not, Cheryl, there is a big market for them on auction
just wondered,
sites
yeah.
and stuff.
That sounds good, yeah.
With, we have Holland Speedway, they do the bus Crasherama
Oh, the
every
demo,
year.
yeah.
And even the fairgrounds does things with buses that people buy them, break out all the glass, and use them in these.
I guess I never thought about where they went.
I was driving in the Dominican Republic once and saw a bus from the United States.
Really?
Yeah, that's where they go.
All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item I, approve revised rate of pay for LPN, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the pay rate for the licensed practical nurse be revised to level 12, step 1.
Second.
Discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item J, approve transfer of unassigned fund balance, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education authorize the transfer of the 2016-17 unassigned fund balance into the following reserves as of June 30th, 2017. Unemployment insurance reserves, $100,000. Retirement contribution reserves, $576,238. Capital reserves, $400,000. Capital reserve vehicles, bus, $600,000. Repair reserve, $60,000.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
This is the items that we discussed earlier when the accountants were here, just to remind you that this is due to good, prudent financial management in this district over the past school year.
And I would simply add for the other board members that the Audit and Finance Committee met at length from 6 to 7 and had quite a conversation about these items, and it all made perfect sense to us, and we concur.
Great.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Item 6, information and proposals, the business report.
Well, I'd like to start with that Mrs. Ancelone and I went to a school law briefing on school tax revenues, way to maximize aids, put on by our law firm. And one of the recommendations, which we will be investigating further and bringing to you in the future, was that boards adopt a resolution not to automatically grant pilot payments. And what that would do is allow districts to become part of the negotiation team when pilots are done through the town. It's not that the board cannot adopt, it just gives us an opportunity to lend an ear and to know what is going on, and it's a way to improve communications during the IDA's pilot process.
Can you talk about what a pilot is?
A pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. So what happens is oftentimes businesses are either coming into the area or expanding, so they will go to the Industrial Development Agency, the IDA, and ask for tax abatement breaks in order to have their first, usually it's 10 years, their taxes lowered while the business builds up so that they can afford to start business. They usually promise a certain amount of jobs and things like that. So we want to be involved in that negotiation process just so that we're aware of what's going on in the district, and so that since we hold the largest share typically of a tax bill for a homeowner, we want to make sure our voice is heard, and so that we're not unfairly adding tax elsewhere in the district.
And can you talk about whether we have pilots now?
We don't have any pilots at the moment, but we want to be mindful of them because you could have some in the future where someone wants to expand or build a project, and we want to be part of that negotiation team so the school district's interests are heard. And I also wanted to let you know, joy, joy to all the taxpayers, the property tax collection process has begun, and we are beginning to receive payments from the taxpayers. So those, again, once again, are being handled for all the district except for Evans, are being handled by the Town of Eden's tax collector. So again, we are cooperating with local municipalities to keep the costs down to our taxpayers in multiple areas by doing so. Then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about transportation. The school year got off to a great start thanks to our bus garage, our head bus driver, the dispatcher, the drivers, the attendants. They've all done a great job getting kids to and from school. We have had the usual beginning of the year hiccups where perhaps a student isn't quite out there at the time the bus comes, so they're waiting, or it's perhaps the first time a parent is putting a child on the bus. So as we move through the next few weeks, the bus time should settle down. That should make it easier for parents to do their planning in the morning. So I wanted to thank everyone for their patience during this transition time. And then Mrs. Banco asked us to give a special thank you to the physical education department in the elementary schools and the junior senior high. They are going to be incorporating how to exit a bus safely in case of an accident to their curriculum, so that even students that do not typically ride the bus will be trained. That way, should they be on the bus going somewhere with their class or going home to a friend's on a bus pass, they would know how to get off the bus and how to react to an accident, and maybe would be less scared. So we want to thank them for adding that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about buildings and grounds. And what I'd like to do first of all is thank all the staff throughout the district, the 12-month staff that put up with the capital project this summer. I want to do a special thank you to the buildings and grounds staff, who I know for a fact in the Eden Elementary cleaned the building, and 5 minutes later you couldn't tell because of all the project going on. But they were able to get the buildings open and running for opening day, and that was a humongous task, and I appreciate their effort. And then our contractors, they also provided the proper barriers between the students where areas that they're still working on, like the Eden Elementary Auditorium and the fitness space in the high school. We had a hiccup with the cogen where we lost power, but it wasn't, we were able to correct it after a day.
On the first day.
The loading dock lift is something that the Buildings and Grounds Department is much appreciative of. It can be used safely after a very long time with the dock plate that safety was questionable about. So thank you to the Board of Education and the taxpayers for promoting that. The elementary front entrance construction came together to provide access and looks great. The district staff restriped the Eden Elementary parking lot today, and I thank the patience of the parents and the staff as they were not allowed to park there today. And I also want to report back, they did a great job on it. You can't tell that they were not professional lot stripers.
They have a new job.
The new water line at Eden Elementary seems to be helping with the low pressure issues that it's had in the past. And I want to remind everyone, the new location for the district offices is on the second floor, rooms 215, 16, and 17, and I'm not sure what, and 18, and 19 in the second floor. And that is what I have for this evening.
Questions for Laura?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Laura and I didn't rehearse this, but I was able to cross off 5 things on my list, so that's pretty good. Just wanted to welcome Kelly officially as the elementary school principal for the school year. That's a new piece to the start, even though she started last spring. I agree with Cheryl, so clapping. Yeah, welcome. Our open houses have gone off very smoothly and nicely. I appreciate that from all of the administrators and have had great attendance. In terms of the district goals, the administrators will now start working within their own buildings with their own people to find goals that are building based, that align with those district goals that are more concrete and specific to you. We're also thrilled to have Laura on board. She certainly caught on quickly with some really interesting tasks this summer. And so I just wanted Laura to know that you've been a wonderful hire and we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
We can clap for her too. And I'm not sure if Emma came. I know Emma had some things going on. Where's Emma? So Emma is your other student representative on the board, Emma Scheidel, right? Emma and I had a great conversation today about her becoming our social media. What would you have a title for it? She's going to do her internship. Yeah, she's going to do independent study internship with Mrs. Karstad on getting our social media up to speed and up and running, and I am grateful beyond, I can tell you. So, yep, and Emma wants to go on to school for, go ahead. Right, so we're thrilled to have you. And then Haley, if there's anything you want to say, this is also a good time for you. This is Haley Brenner. I think we introduced her at the beginning.
No pressure.
She was phenomenal in the spring when it came down to the code of conduct with the dress code.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one.
And then you went to Girls State in the summer.
Did.
And that was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Excellent.
I have a meeting with the auxiliary members at the American Legion Post, where the 4 girls that went were like giving a presentation about our time there.
Wonderful. We'd love to hear about it too.
No.
Yeah. And what did you think about the start of school?
Awesome. Great senior year. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's your only senior year.
I know.
I know. Wonderful. Okay.
If I can interject something, I know Haley from swimming, and I don't know if this is the proper time, but Haley does a lot with the swimming team too, as being one of the captains, but we have, thanks to this Mr. Cervoni, oh, he's gone, and approved us to sell bracelets for Mrs. Roberts' son, Nathan, who is battling brain cancer. She's a music teacher at the high school. And so Haley graciously, I ordered the bracelets and she at lunch sells them. So if anybody's interested, I actually have some bracelets with me tonight, but $2 a bracelet.
That's actually a really great segue to Spirit Week because you've changed.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
So it says, Sarah's son Nathan loves superheroes, so we put a Superman insignia on it. It says "Fighting for Superhero Nathan," and we've got 400 of them to sell at $2 a piece. We're gonna give the money to the family for them to do what I know they spend a lot in parking at Children's Hospital with Nathan, and they have a little son Alex too.
Nathan is 3, right?
Yes, he'll be
4 the first week of October.
Yep. And then
her other son is 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So we've got some swim team members, parents that are going to get together a gift basket for both of their birthdays. That'll be coming up. Certainly Alex, I'm sure, is suffering in his own way and stuff. So
yeah. So that would be a good segue for Spirit Week.
Yes, so we actually have a Cancer Awareness Week besides from Spirit Week. It's the 23rd to the 27th. Each day will be a different color for the different kinds of cancer, and then one of the days will be, I think, purple is all of them. And on September 29th, it's National Pajama Day, So everyone in our school is going to wear pajamas, and we'll have donation bins set out because it's like a fundraiser for pediatric cancer. So we'll donate all of that to Roswell.
So the pajamas with the feet?
Any pajamas, that's what I'm going to wear, but.
As long as they pass dress code.
No
That one
lingerie.
actually doesn't pass dress code, but it's okay because it's for a Spirit Day. So.
Yeah, pajamas are not part of the dress code. Amy's
they're
right.
not.
And she knows that dress code really well.
So donations for that day can be made out just to Roswell if
we just have like a,
Just
we're just gonna have
money,
a bin.
just cash?
Yeah.
It's actually going to the National Cancer Organization. They're
Oh,
running
I'm
the
sorry.
day.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
Don't write a check for it.
Don't write a check.
Yeah,
to
no,
Roswell.
don't do that. We'll have bins out, and then I think I'm gonna do penny wars. So we have bins set up for each grade level, and you can put your coins in, and whoever has the most like wins. So
Gotcha.
the grades can have like a competition while raising money for it.
Cool. Cute.
Very nice.
And you're also president of student council.
Yes.
Okay, some goals for student council this year?
So right now we're working on homecoming, and our Raider Fest is actually going to be a really big thing this year. We hadn't done it last year, and in years prior it's been targeted at younger students, like mostly elementary and GLP kids. There were like little fun games and stuff like that, which is awesome, but we're trying this year to make it more teenage oriented and like high school students. So I just got the liability certificates and the use of the building forms filled out for 2 trailer escape rooms that we're bringing.
No, those are fun.
Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun, I think. A lot of students say they're already going to come just for that. But that'll be on October 14th from 12 to 4. We got Cold Stone, Mr. Carriero's food truck, and we're working on a couple others. So we just have to make sure they're available and finish the liability. So we definitely have like a big Raider Fest planned, and right now we're just working on Homecoming, Spirit Week, Pep Rally. It'll be really fun. We have new ideas for that.
Good, excellent, thank you.
Anything from the board?
I do have a couple of quick things. I can't remember. Sandy and I attended that Erie County Association of School Board meeting back in August. Feels like forever ago now.
September, actually.
Board meeting.
Yeah, it was August 25th,
Was it
something
really?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Anyways, the new, was he the director or president? I don't know what his title is.
So Bruce Frazier is the executive director for the Erie County Association of School Boards.
Yeah, he's newly appointed. He was a dynamic speaker. Advocacy is definitely his push. And he actually offered, I can't remember.
He's coming.
The tool, yeah, to come to schools. There's this like wealth of information out there that I had no idea that you could use, where you could like basically plot your district against other districts and just see how you fare financially, population, academically. And it was just a phenomenal tool to use as far as gathering information. Look, you could do public schools against charter schools. You could do, it was just interesting how the whole thing was playing out and the information you could get from it. Because he firmly believes that information is
So I've booked
power.
him for our retreat.
Perfect.
On October 25th at 5 o'clock. He'll have dinner with us. Oh, Jen. And he will also set each of you up on the site so you can
It's my
play around.
open house at school.
You've seen it, Jen, so.
I know, but so.
You're a busy person.
I love that stuff. Again, thanks to the Music Boosters for the advocacy push. It's huge. I've had a lot of nice conversation with Mr. DiPietro this past spring, a couple times this past summer. And he is more than willing to come out again and speak with us. His big push is for the unfunded mandates or the underfunded mandates. He believes that's a huge area for school districts. So I think it's just something we're going to have to keep whittling away at until we get heard. And then on a personal note, I did play, it's not directly school related, but in the John Lavulis Memorial Soccer Tournament, which was
awesome.
a ton of fun on a scorchingly hot day. And I had 3 games in a row for someone who's never played soccer. By the 3rd game, I was like, what was I thinking? But it really was a ton of fun. Kids running around everywhere. The parents are having fun. Some people were really hardcore about it. I was like, I'm just kicking the ball and hoping it goes somewhere. But it was a really, his family was super thankful and very grateful, and it was just a really nice time. That's it.
I wanted to thank the two administrators that came and talked about the garden club and the gardens. I think the board has expressed that we want input that is positive and what's going on in the schools, and that is a huge thing with then taking it back to the classrooms and having meals and stuff. I think that's awesome.
I would simply mention that I was talking to a teacher who happened to be my wife.
That's good.
We talk periodically. She mentioned that, I think Mary did it personally. She brought in the bus for the pre-K students and took them on a bus and drove them around and at least introduced them to and how well received that was with the pre-K students, with some of kind of hand in hand with getting people comfortable with the bus, and certainly just to thank Mary for being truly an asset to our district. We appreciate it.
Yes.
To get a little more information on that, so it was her idea to do bus safety for parents and students, so she did it for all of pre-K and kindergarten. We invited parents to come with them. I wouldn't say we have a huge turnout of parents, but I would say for each classroom, we probably had anywhere from 2 to 7 parents who came and sat through it. So it was a twofold where they were in a classroom and they watched a bus safety movie, and then they actually got on a bus and drove around the block with their parents on the bus. So our parents who haven't been on a bus in a long time, they got a little refresher course. And she did a great job. She had a bus driver do it with her. And the teachers, I would agree, said that it was really worthwhile.
Yeah, well received.
So any of our pre-K and K students, because a lot of them are new to riding the bus.
Nice.
So, and I just want to say thanks. We thanked campus and certainly our groundskeepers and everybody and custodial staff for getting the building ready. But I got to say a shout out to the teachers who got those classrooms ready in 2 days when normally they're there for 2-3 weeks preparing, and they were ready to teach. And I think it was a little rocky from what I've heard, but they all made it through, and things are better. And so, and the staff that had to work in that building all summer, God bless them all. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Dates?
All right, future dates. Regular Board of Ed meeting Wednesday, October 18th, 2017 at 7 p.m. in the junior senior high school cafeteria. An anticipated executive session. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Ed enter executive session to discuss the history of a particular person.
Second.
Discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Sometime that's going to fail.
Thank you, everybody.